hop into the topics. So you want to talk about pre-orders, Dom?
That seems to be just the word around town right now is pre-orders. Like, don't pre-order games or yada. Everyone seems to just be talking about that, and especially in the wake of Bethesda's review policy announcement. It's like, well, does this change if you pre-order their game? There's just a lot of talk about that going on, I feel. So I wanted to bring it up here. I mean, what better forum do I have?
Yeah, right.
So it's an interesting thing because, like, at its core, there's no reason to pre-order a game right now. If you know what I mean, like they're all of it used to be, and maybe it didn't even used to be, but the original idea was like you would pre-order to make sure you got a copy at release, and otherwise you would never get one, right?
Yeah.
Or you'd have to wait months after until the next shipment and that kind of thing. And I don't know that even happens anymore with actual games, especially with how many people buy them digitally.
Exactly.
So there used to be the benefit of it, but now because that doesn't really exist, they've started throwing in other benefits. So, for example, Amazon will give you X% off. Now, maybe that's Amazon fronting that discount, and maybe it's the publishers. Who knows? But then, obviously, they also started throwing in, early access, play the campaign first, like Call of Duty, or here's a couple bonus skin DLCs or map or gun packs or countless other things. And then it's even gone as far as South Park Dishonored, and I believe there's one other game that released the first game in the series for free if you pre-order.
Yep.
So they've started using like all these different benefits that to me are way better than just guaranteeing your copy on day one, which isn't really an issue anymore. And in fact, it's the opposite because now you can download and install everything before day one even hits, which is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
So given all those benefits, there's always going to be a risk when you pre-order a game that it sucks, that it's broken, right? Because
Exactly.
you don't know, because no one's played it extensively or in its final state. So there's always at least a sliver of risk that you're going to get burned when you pre-order a game. And so you have to, for me, I seldom pre-order games, but I don't really have an issue with it, and I wouldn't ever be one to, use a soapbox and tell people don't pre-order games. I don't see an issue with it. If you get burned, then that was your fault that you pre-order. I don't feel bad for you, but go and do what you want.
It's on the consumer. It's not on the publisher dev.
Exactly. All they're doing is giving you an option to buy it early before you get it.
One of the things is people are like, oh, they're so evil. They just want your money. They're business. Yes, they want your money. Doesn't mean they're evil. The whole reason games exist is because they want to make money.
It wouldn't be happening if people didn't pre-order games. Like if no one pre-ordered any more games, then it would stop being a thing. They'd stop giving out bonuses. Like
exactly.
We're the ones that drive everything they do ultimately. So that's just something to keep in the back of your mind. But like I said, there's always the at least a sliver of a chance that game is going to suck and you're going to get burned when you pre-order it. That being said, because I seldom pre-order games and I only do from reputable developers from whom I've loved every other game they put out.
Exactly.
Then like that risk is smaller. It's still there. I mean, Fallout 4 could have, and in fact, I'm sure a lot of people would say that it wasn't. I don't know if you could justifiably feel burned if you pre-ordered Fallout 4 with what you got, but a lot of people weren't happy, I guess. But that was when I was pre-ordering that no matter what. Like I was going to play it. It wasn't contingent on reviews. I love like game reviews are awesome, but I don't base my purchases on them.
Yeah.
Unless a game is like literally broken, like to where it doesn't work, then that's a good thing,
Like Arkham Knight on PC where they got refunds.
Exactly. But yeah, so for me, sometimes, depending on the game, the benefits outweigh the risk. But I wouldn't pre-order a game and from a developer I've like never heard of, or if their last game was kind of crappy, like Mafia 3. Mafia 2 was the same. It had the same jankiness from what I've heard. So it's like, why pre-order that game? And like there's a good chance that you're going to get something that isn't fully polished. Whereas some other, like a Naughty Dog game, you don't really have to worry about it not being polished.
And the thing too is, guess what? It doesn't mean you don't have to ever buy that game. Just don't pre-order it. Just wait a week, find out what's wrong with it, and like, so I'll give you my pre-order spiel. So I come from a small town of like 13,000 people, really tiny. We got games into our local Walmart, obviously, and we also had a local game store. I would never pre-order games until this game store came around, and the only reason I pre-ordered it is because I was going to buy it anyways, and I just wanted to support my local shop, right?
Yeah.
So I would always pre-order games. It went under new management. Other people took it over. I pre-ordered Madden, okay? Madden's one of the biggest franchises every year in the United States. It's always on the top 10 list of sellers, right?
Yep.
I show up the day of release, going to pick up my copy of Madden. They sit there and tell me, hey, we're not getting the shipment until Friday. I'm like, what are you talking about? I pre-ordered the game. I expected to have a copy. And they're like, yeah, just something happened. And I was like, well, can I get my $60 back so I can, I'm going to go buy it somewhere else? And they're like, well, we have a policy where you can't get a refund. And I just, I was like, that's ludicrous. I want my money back now. I'm going to go buy Madden, and I'm never buying another game from you guys. And it wasn't just that. It was, a lot of other circumstances that led to this decision. They rarely even had games in stock. They just didn't treat their customers very well, and this was kind of like the last straw. And so that was the last time I ever pre-ordered a game. I've gone to midnight releases and stuff, which I do think is pre-ordering to some extent because you're buying it like at midnight. You're still getting in before any reviews or any big kind of, ideas of how the game's going to play and stuff are. But I agree with you that, like, I don't pre-order games for bonuses. I never have. I don't think I ever will. I don't really care about that stuff. Half the time it's just cosmetic items. There's things that don't really matter, right? The reason I pre-ordered a game, especially now, is so I can have it downloaded before it comes out.
Yeah, that's a huge.
That's the whole reason, and I only do that with games I know, or developers I know. So like Fallout 4, pre-ordered it, completely fine with it. I like the game a lot. It wasn't exactly the greatest game ever, but do I think I got jaded? No. Do you think I got, like, it was definitely worth $60. But like Prey, for instance. Prey is a reboot. It's the first game in the series. I don't necessarily know I'll pre-order it, but I probably will buy it the day before to have that download just so I can play it. And that's because I trust those developers. And, if you're in the know enough to be able to know that you're pre-ordering a game and getting bonuses, you should also be in the know enough to know that it can turn out bad for you and that you can just wait a day or two. And the thing is people have to remember is that with this new Bethesda policy, it's a day before. And yes, you maybe won't get your review on time, but there will be streamers playing it. And for me, the biggest indication of whether a game's good or bad is I like to read reviews, but I don't make my purchasing decisions based on reviews. I just like to hear other people's opinions. I like to see gameplay. I like to see how the game actually handles, and that's what you get from Twitch streamers and stuff. So, also, the other thing, Rooster Teeth actually did a poll, and this is a small grouping of gamers, but they did a poll and they asked, when you see a review, did it change your mind before, like if you read a review before the game came out, did it change your mind on whether or not you were going to buy the game?
Yeah.
And then they also asked, if you read a review after it released, did that change your mind on buying a game? And the overwhelming majority of people said that before a game came out, if they read a review, it didn't change whether or not they were going to purchase that game. But a lot of people said that after that game was out for maybe a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month, that if they read a review, they would actually buy it. It would change their mind. So if Bethesda's looking at this is a small group by Rooster Teeth, but you figure Bethesda's done their own surveys and stuff like that, right? And their own studies and statistics. If they see this too, and they realize that reviews don't change people's opinions at release, why would you have people have a review out a week early just to say something negative, And whether or not the game's bad or not, there's always contrarians on the internet. It's just how it is. And you have to look at it from a business perspective. Like, yeah, there's so many sites reviewing it, and maybe your game is good, and maybe, 99 people give it a good review. But say one person only looks to this one guy who's the one guy who gave it a negative review, and that changes their mind. Like, but I guess it doesn't. So I do think that this Bethesda policy change, the only people that are freaking out about it are the websites because they know it hurts their pockets. That's the only reason they're freaking out, And going back to the whole discussion of pre-orders, I think it's completely on the consumer. If you pre-order a game and it sucks, that's entirely your fault. I don't feel bad for you one bit. Guess what? Say for instance, I wouldn't put Fallout 4 on that list because I don't think Fallout 4 is a bad game. And I don't really see it.
That might have been a bad example.
Yeah.
I love that game
so
too.
Let's say No Man's Sky, the easy punching bag. So say somebody pre-ordered No Man's Sky and they were jaded by it, and they bought it and they're like, oh, that sucks. Guess what? When Hello Games comes out with another game, don't buy it.
Yeah.
Don't
Right.
maybe not don't
No.
buy it, but don't pre-order it.
Now, in this particular scenario, though, with this Fallout 4 was a flawed example, but this one is a little bit too because they literally lied and false advertised about what was going to be in No Man's Sky. So,
Yeah.
which I've never heard of that happening before this, really.
Yeah.
So that was a weird thing with that one.
Okay,
in
we can
particular,
say-
to
we can
where
say-
that one is their fault.
Exactly. We can say Mafia 3. That's an easier one. Because it just didn't run well, right, at release. People like the narrative and everything. It's very repetitive gameplay, a lot of glitches, a lot of bugs. Say you pre-order Mafia 3, comes out, you don't like it, you see all the reviews, you see it wasn't a good game, you feel jaded. When Mafia 4 comes out, or maybe even heck, if you think it was the publisher's fault, next 2K game that comes out, don't pre-order it. You got to show them, like, people don't understand you have to vote with your wallet. You can't say for instance, I pre-order Madden 17, the game comes out, I hate it, it's garbage. If I go and buy Madden 18 the next year and I pre-order it, it's not sending a message,
Right.
You can't get mad.
But that's still fine, though. If
Yeah.
you want to do that, don't go and bitch about it.
Exactly.
To people. But
Exactly.
there's certain things where, like, even if it sucks, like Walking Dead, great example. Even if it, like, is manipulative and I'm not even liking it, I'm going to keep watching it because I'm just into it. I just am. And, like, if you can, like, tell yourself that and accept it, that you're going to keep on eating the crap, then that's fine if you want to eat the crap. Like, who am I to judge, I guess?
Exactly. It's on you. Just don't try to make your experiences, end up in a result for everyone else. Like, just because you did something wrong and you feel jaded doesn't mean everyone else needs to go down with you, Just learn.
And like you mentioned, that there's so much out there about every game before it comes out that even without the actual review, it's like you can tell. Like, I bet you and I could right now guess, like, the Metacritic score of every game that's going to come out in the next 2 years, and we would be within 3 points on 95% of our guesses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree
Like,
with you.
it's just known. Like Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, I bet that gets between a 7.5 and an 8.5 or not. You know what I mean? Like, everything is going to be in that range. There's the only times that where you might get something that's stupid low on the scale that's broken is, like, from someone you've never heard of. Like, Naughty Dog's not going to put out a game that scores a 3. It's just not going to fucking happen.
Like, yeah.
Right.
I
So
agree with you.
there's a degree of confidence I have with these things that I don't need to wait. And if I want to buy into the hype and get the satisfaction of pre-ordering something, even though logically a lot of the time it doesn't make any sense to do so, but it's being a part of the zeitgeist and getting into that. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that.
Exactly. It's the same thing with Kickstarters. They're essentially pre-ordering too, and that's a whole other discussion for another day. But, like, Kickstarters are pre-ordering.
Yeah.
You're putting money up front.
That's even heavier.
That should be a
version
topic. We'll
of
save that for
pre-ordering.
We'll save that for another topic.
Yeah.